Hey everybody, if you're watching this video right now, it means you have moved on to task 5 in today's lesson number 17. You've already obviously selected your name and your class period. You've watched task number 3 video and said, okay, I've formatted my professional write-up. And you've moved past task number 4, which was a double check. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, these double checks are for you to say, did I do these things? Do I have all 5 paragraphs in my document? Do I have all the paragraphs with the same font and so on? If you formatted your paper correctly, you should have all of these things checked. And these are just a reminder of like, hey, did I do all of these things from the video? Okay. If you're watching this video, it means you've also clicked on task 5 and you have a document and you've now moved on to watch task number 6, which is obviously me, where we review and double check your work. Okay. Big idea for this, ladies and gentlemen, is you're going to be using this document here to help review your write-up and make sure you have everything you need. So now we're looking at not the professionalism side in terms of did my write-up get formatted correctly, but do I have everything I need from all of the earlier lessons? So this is a document that allows you to look at kind of everything at the same time. It has the links to all the lessons, okay, 12 through 16, which created each of our different paragraphs. It has the videos I created for each of them. So if you need to go back and rewatch them, you can. And then last but not least, it has a highlighting breakdown, which we're going to explain here in a second and what you're going to do with that. And then this was the last part of the document that hopefully will give you some kind of big picture idea of what each paragraph should be about. So let's go ahead and look at the snapshot to begin. Your first paragraph is where you should introduce the debate and the best supported claim. Remember, that doesn't mean it's your opinion what's the best. It's where do you see the best supported evidence for which of the claim, for or against GMOs. And we're using these 3 questions to kind of create your paragraph. Now, if you notice, each one has a different color, red, yellow, green, and that pattern kind of continues for each of the paragraphs, red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. Your job is to look at each of these questions, to go back into your write-up, and to color code your responses to these questions and make sure, do I have all these things? This is a great technique not only to say, do I have everything I need, but then to reread and revise and make sure, yes, I do have it. My wording sounds good. My answers are what I want them to be. So if I'm looking at my example for the Bears-Packers, okay, I went through and gave you a quick example to start. This was the answer to question 1. This was the answer to question 2. This was the answer to question 3. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, I am not picking the most obnoxious colors. I'm picking colors that allow me to read the words very clearly. They have good contrast to that black font. Okay, I'm not going in and saying, hey, I want to pick the most obnoxious colors. So let's go ahead and look at an example, maybe for paragraph 2. Support the claim with evidence, explain why it's strong. This is where you're looking and saying, okay, this was the claim in paragraph 1, my intro. Now I'm going to be supporting and explaining why it's strong. So what evidence supports your claim? That should be in red. There's a lot of evidence that supports the Packers being the better football team. Okay, if you're looking at that like, well, that's just a transition sentence, I don't want to highlight that. That's fine. If you highlight it, that's cool too. But let's go ahead and look at all of these. Okay, so all of this right here is basically my evidence, okay, right off the bat, all right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to obviously my little highlighting color here. The first color that I highlight for my first question is red. Again, I'm picking just a light red. I don't need to pick an obnoxious red. It makes it super uncomfortable for people who are trying to read it. It should just be a nice, easy red. Okay, from there, how does this evidence directly support your claim? This evidence directly supports the claim by, oh, look at that. I even used some complete sentences, which makes this a lot easier for me. If you're somebody who didn't use complete sentence, you might have to fish a little bit more. And then last but not least, what makes this claim and evidence stronger than the other side of the debate? Teams that win more games in the NFL are considered the better team. This evidence is strong because it has little to no opinions. The statistics are hard to argue with, and it leaves people with very few questions. Notice that I'm rereading the entire section. I'm making sure it makes sense, and I highly recommend you read it out loud. Okay, many of us are better when we hear it. I'm one of those people. I recommend you do that as well. Okay, and again, I'm picking a light green. So notice I have each paragraph kind of broken down by my answers, and I'm going to do that for each section, going through each one, rereading it, double checking it, and making sure that by the time I'm done checking each of the questions for each of the paragraphs, I know I have all the colors highlighted. I'm double checking all the snapshots to make sure that, hey, in body paragraph 2, did I explain how people would argue against the evidence and why they're wrong? Did I do that? Do I see that in my paragraph number 2? Okay. Again, another way to help you think about it big picture. All right. So if you're looking at your paragraphs and they're all color coded and they're all done, congratulations. You have just completed this task. If you've made revisions and needed to pause the video during this whole explanation, that's great. Do what works best for you. But at this point, if you have everything color coded and finished, you're done with this task. You're ready to move on to the next task in lesson number 17.